Hello guys, welcome on our channel. On our video today, we are venturing into new developing story about Raila big search for the African Union chairman. Now, it is emerging that Raila is too far from getting that seat.
As the term of Musa Faki, our current chair, comes to an end, it is going to be the turn for East Africa to provide the chair of the Africa Union.
I pledge that if Raila Amolo Odinga gets the AU Commission seat, I will give him 10 million shillings. I repeat, I pledge that if Raila Amolo Odinga clinches that seat, I will give him 10 million shillings. I know it's small money to him.
And Steve Mbogo has pledged to award Raila Odinga Kenya shillings 10 million if he wins AU position. Before we continue, kindly subscribe to our channel, like this video and turn on notifications. Thank you so much. Now guys, let us dive in. Steve Mbogo has pledged to award Raila Odinga Kenya shillings 10 million if he wins AU seat. He is very sure that Babaman will not win. This people are lying to you, Baba. They are like Judas who betrayed Jesus. By the time they are done with you, you will have lost all the ground base and connection with Kenyans. Baba will not win African Union job. This will be like BBI. Uhuru was very sure that BBI would sail through, but towards the end it failed flat with loud thud. The support by Kenya Kwanza regime for Raila is hot air. They will use you and drop you like rotten mango sack. Steve Mbogo has his reasons why Baba will not win the seat. One is that Ruto is fronting his campaign. As you all know, Ruto is not liked by many African heads of states because of his double-standard diplomacy policy. At first, he portrayed himself as the saviour of Africans and black man. He pushed the agenda of making Africa independent. But later he went against his words. He associated himself with West and East. Therefore, he seemed to be someone who cannot be trusted to fight for African political space.
Fellow Kenyans, Steve Mbogo hapa. Now today I want to make a pledge, and I'm very serious about it. Today, in this holy month of Ramadan, I pledge that if Raila Amolo Odinga gets the AU Commission seat, I will give him 10 million shillings. I repeat, I pledge that if Raila Amolo Odinga clinches that seat, I will give him 10 million shillings. I know it's small money to him, but not to many Kenyans. I'm saying that because I am very sure, 100% sure, that Raila Odinga will not clinch that seat. You see, the biggest problem is that today, wajinga waliisha Kenya. And I'm saying this because of facts. Now, Baba Raila Amolo Odinga, the people around you, and the entire Kenya Kwanza brigade is lying to you. There's a wise man that said, when you see your enemies or your opponents rejoice or celebrate you, then you should understand that that is the beginning of the end of you. Now, when you go to facts, Baba, for you to clinch that seat, you need a minimum 2/3 of the total votes in Africa. Any person who's keen with African politics, you understand and you're fully aware that approximately 49 out of 54 African countries today are pro-Russia, pro-China. And all these countries are not going to support someone who comes from a country that is pro-West. For you to convince the Anglophones will be a bit easy. But when you talk of the southern part of Africa and the western part, the Francophones, who have fully retaliated from the West, believe me, they're not going to vote for you. Remember, they also have their own candidates. The South, they have their own candidates. East Africa, there are about 7 of them. So, Baba, these people are lying to you. And if the reality is they're either lying to you or you're part of this game. But it is very sad that the same card that was played with the BBI agenda is the same card that is being played now. Baba, these people will keep you busy for the next 1 year. You'll be busy campaigning And when you lose next year, the same people will come and tell Kenyans, tulijaribu kusaidia mzee na ikashindikana. Let me tell you, by that time, the entire brigade of Azimio will be torn apart. As we all know today, the Azimio brigade has started fighting in itself just because of this issue. Your real soldiers, the people who've always fought for you, and I'm speaking as your son and you being my mentor and once my party leader. The entire BBI agenda is being repeated, but in a different script. They will waste your time. By the time they are done with you, you've lost ground, you've lost all your friends, you have to start afresh. By that time, you only have 1 or 2 years, we're back to elections. So Baba, fungua macho. And for those people who surround Raila Odinga and you keep lying to him, shame on you. Otherwise, I have pledged, Baba akipata hiyo kiti, cash, tupewe account, ama tutaweka kwa M-Pesa yote 10 million. Habari ndio hiyo.
Hence, head of African states will vote out Raila to punish Ruto for betraying them in foreign policy and for his double-standard diplomatic standard. Ruto later turned out to be a puppet since taking over from his predecessor, Uhuru Kenyatta. Kenya's President William Ruto has been on a relentless mission of pushing for the interests of the African continent abroad. Observers say President Ruto has been vocal on 3 main issues that include climate change, debt restructuring, and an all-inclusive global financial management. In his maiden address at the United Nations General Assembly in September 2022, President Ruto pleaded with the World Bank, International Monetary Fund, IMF, and other multilateral lenders to consider extending new reliefs to African countries facing debt crisis. I call upon global financial institutions and the international community to take urgent measures and release all existing financial instruments to provide much-needed additional liquidity and secure better fiscal space for developing countries like Kenya, he said. Speaking when he attended a summit of the Common Market for East and Southern Africa, COMESA, held in Lusaka, Zambia, President Ruto called on the Africa Union, AU, member states to donate certain powers to the continental bloc as part of the much-needed reforms to make the body work. President Ruto, who also attended Pan-African Parliament Summit on Climate Policy and Equity in South Africa, lamented that African heads of state are most of the time not given a platform to explain their issues in depth when invited to attend international conferences. While we are invited to those summits, we are given limited time, then over 50 of us line up for photos, and unfortunately, that's the only thing we go back home with, Ruto said. International relations scholars believe that the push for Africa's agenda globally places President Ruto in a position to be the continental spokesperson to advance its interests. Professor David Kikaya, a scholar of foreign policy and international studies, terms Ruto's intent a positive step towards the right direction of having someone to advance the agenda of the continent. I was impressed with the statement President Ruto made at the African Union Summit, where he was arguing that we need to give more muscle to the continental body. I think this is a positive step, because if we operate as a continental body, we have all it takes to take off, Professor Kikaya said. To succeed in this mission, Professor Kikaya says President Ruto should lobby his colleagues in the continent to support his resolve to amplify Africa's voice. What will be important is what measures will President Ruto put in place to pursue this agenda by getting other member states to join him rather than it being a one-man show, Professor Kikaya added. A lawyer and governance specialist, Javas Bigambo, says President Ruto might succeed if other presidents adopt a stronger voice and support his aggressive mission. If it is a question of debt restructuring, many African countries have debts that are choking them. So he is not speaking just for Kenya, he is speaking for Africa. If it is the question of climate change, the effects can be seen by at least all African nations. So it is important for the African leaders, especially the African Union, AU, to scale up the advocacy on the global stage, Bigambo explained. However, Professor Penina Ogada, international relations expert, thinks otherwise. She says the president could be deflecting attention from domestic malfunctions because the country is facing challenges that should be addressed first before going abroad.
we have consulted as heads of state from the East African community together, and we have agreed to sponsor one candidate next year as the term of Musa Faki, our current chair, comes to an end. It is going to be the turn for East Africa to provide the chair of the Africa Union.
We'll be going to many other African countries, and just watch this space. I need to talk to many leaders across the continent, because you know that a candidate to be successful must get two-thirds physically, first round or second round. If you don't get two-thirds, then you're not elected. So I have to dialogue with virtually all leadership of the continent.
We have so many wrongs at home, and you can't go preaching what you don't do. The level of corruption and misgovernment does not start at the African level. It starts at the state level before gaining moral authority going upwards. You cannot climb a tree from the top, Professor Agada said in an interview with The Star. Other African leaders who pushed for Pan-Africanism include Thomas Sankara, Muammar Gaddafi, Malcolm X, Kwame Nkrumah, and Patrice Lumumba, among others. Ruto supporting ODM leader Raila Odinga. According to Mbogo, continental politics will work against Raila's candidature for the Africa Union Commission's chairmanship seat. He claimed the government wants Raila to waste time campaigning for the AU seat, yet they know he will lose. Nairobi. Politician Stephen Mbogo has claimed that ODM leader Raila Odinga will fail in his bid to be voted chairman of the Africa Union Commission. Stephen Mbogo posted video on Facebook about AU elections. Photo, Stephen Mbogo. Mbogo excluded confidence that the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party leader cannot win the continental job. He said, "Today I want to make a pledge and I want to be serious. Today, in the holy month of Ramadan, if Raila gets the AU seat, I will give him 10 million. I am saying so because I am 100% sure that Raila will not clinch that seat," Mbogo said. Stephen Mbogo, why Raila Odinga will lose. The city politician claimed that the Kenya Kwanza administration and people around the ODM leader were lying to him about the possibility of winning the seat.
Nimeona jana, Your Excellency, huyu ndugu yetu Raila na watu yake wanasema akichukua AU ati anataka kurudi kusimama kiti 27. Tunasema kuna mnyama anaitwa fisi. Fisi ni tamaa ile. Aliponuka harufu ya nyama akaenda njia mbaya, panda akapasuka msamba. Na mimi naona hii tinga mnasukuma na president. Your Excellency, munitume ni kwa chief agent. Unajua hii mtu analalanga kura inaibwa. Munitume Addis Ababa niende nichunge kura isiibwe kwa sababu anatangatanga huko akisema naomba AU lakini anaomba kiti ya Kenya. So mimi nataka niseme let us, Your Excellency, na uendelee kukuja. Let that person individually, Your Excellency, asikuwe na tamaa. Na nataka Bishop Emeritus, Bishop Arabiego, ombea yeye asikuwe na tamaa. Kama tumeunga yeye mkono ya AU, aombe kiti ya AU. Awache kutusumbua ati 2020. Na akisimama pia 27, atanyorosha na hawa ndume kama kawaida. Lakini tunataka ang'ang'ane. Kwa sababu anaweza kosa hiyo ya AU na akose safari ya kwenda mbinguni. So mumuombe asikose yote.
According to Mbogo, Raila is disadvantaged because the Kenyan administration supports the Western countries. Yet most African countries are either pro-Russian or pro-China. He argued that Raila would find it hard to get votes from the Francophone countries, which command a significant voting bloc. For you to clinch that seat, you need a minimum 2/3 of the votes. Approximately 49 out of 54 countries today are pro-Russian, pro-China, and all these countries are not going to support a candidate from a country that is pro-West. I feel bad for parents. For you to convince the Anglophones will be easy, but when we talk about the southern part on the western, the Francophones who have fully retreated from the West, believe me, they are not going to vote for you, he stated. Mbogo claimed the Kenya Kwanza administration wants to keep Raila busy campaigning for the AU seat. Still, he will fail, which will also contribute to the collapse of Azimio la Umoja. These people are lying to you. And the reality is that they are lying to you, or you are part of the game. They will keep you busy for the next 1 year. You will be busy campaigning. And when you lose, they will be the same people who will come and tell Kenyans that they tried to help you win, but it was hard. He added, "Do you think what Steve Mbogo is saying is true? Give your view on our comment section. Do you think Raila Odinga is being wasted without his consent?" While we have come to an end of this video, WE, thank you so much for watching our video. Kindly subscribe to our channel, like this video, and turn on notifications. Thank you and goodbye. Let's meet in our next video.